Anyway, back to rates again. Do you have any advice for people who are struggling with the rates? And do you think they should sell up and leave? Or what do people do? Particularly there's people at the Mount who are basically desperate.
Yeah, look, it is a challenge, and we understand that. Look, there's a couple of things. If you are struggling, there are some opportunities. Get in touch with our team, see if there is some remissions and that sort of things available. We're also looking. There's a new scheme through LGNZ, which is called the Ratepayer Assistance Scheme. It's not in place at the moment, but it's something that is being talked about, where we've got a presentation with them in the coming weeks, and that might be a sort of it's not the ideal, but it's a better thing to do than what else is around at the moment. What that would effectively be is there'd be an opportunity to defer rates and things like that until you sold your property. And if it goes under that system, if you went under that system, effectively it's like a reverse mortgage. You'd get a debt on your property and you wouldn't have to pay that until you sold it, and you'd be paying
just give you the property. That's cool.
Just let the mayor speak.
You're not giving us the property, but that would be interest rates at probably a percent or so under the mortgage rate. It's not an ideal system, but it's a way that you can stay and choose to stay in your home, and that's really the one of the things we can do.
Yeah, I mean, the government does provide housing assistance if you're under a certain income. There is a mortgage rebate too, but it's only $600 a year, or it's way out of date now. It used to be quite a lot compared to mortgages. I mean, rates, not a mortgage, it's a rates rebate, sorry. So that's one. So it's interesting if they can come up with some systems like that. Now, what is your long-term vision for the city, and does your vision have a place for the current residents? There's particularly people at the Mount who feel they're being driven out by the council. So is there a place in the long-term vision for the Mount Main Street, for example? Is that going to stay, or is it going to be replaced? And what about the old-time Mounties? Mountie has the Mount. The Mounties are their own particular culture. I mean, I'm from across the ocean. I brought up in Otamotai, so I don't really understand them. But a lot of Mountie, the older ones, feel that they're being forced out of the community.
Yep.
So is that part of your vision, for the locals to stay, for the Mount Main Street to stay, or?
Oh, absolutely. Look, we want a vibrant city, so we want people that live and are part of the community in those communities. And so that's absolutely our vision. We want to see thriving hubs all over the city, whether it's the Mount, Papamoa, Otamotai, Greerton. Look, what we're trying to do is I guess with a lot of these things, and when we start talking about facilities, is kind of that hub and spoke. So we have some big main hubs. And then we have smaller facilities around that, and the reasoning is we want to try to make the city friendly, that you can live, work, learn and play where you live, and you're not having to drive across the city, because the issue.
How does that fit in with all this development of the city centre then, trying to bring the city centre back to life? Because that's kind of counterproductive, because people don't go to the city centre because there's no free parking.
Yeah,
it's a hassle to get there. We're going to have congestion charging soon or sometime.
Well, there's no plans for congestion charging at this stage, but that the city centre is the hub, right? It's the heart of the city, and that is where you want to go if you're going to go to university. The university's in the city centre. A lot of people are moving back into the city centre. We've had 1,000 new workers back in the city with the new council building this week. So that is the heart of the city, but that doesn't mean that is instead of the Mount and Papamoa and Otamotai. Those are all very important as well. So those will continue to be important, and we want people to be able to live in each of their environments, so they're not having to haul from one side of the city to the other all the time, because that will help with traffic, etc.
Definitely, because that's more modern as a sort of hub-style city. Because city centres all around the world are dying because you don't need to be so close. We've got electronic communication and so on. Whereas in the old days you needed to be within walking distance. Lawyers, for example, used to walk between each other's offices with pieces of paper. Now it's all done electronically.